All right, so today I'm going to be talking about bank fishing in the fall. So one of the main things is knowing where the fish are, how deep they are. But once you figure that out, it's pretty easy because one of the first things I look for is structure. So you'll see I found a dock here and the wind is blowing that way, which means they're actually going to be on the other side of the dock, shielded from the wind. So I'll show you that in a second. So you'll see here I've already found some fish. They like to be shielded from that wind on the other side of this dock here. Now a lot of times in the fall, bass are going to be feeding on shad to prepare for the winter. And if there's not shad in your lake, I would go for something that looks like a bluegill or whatever bait fish you have, because that's what we're going to be feeding on. And if you're fishing a river, probably crawfish is my guess. But when I find fish, I like to be finesse with my presentation if I can, just to not scare them away. And then I use my crankbaits and my jerk baits and stuff as more of a search bait. It covers a lot of water. Once I find them, I like to go more finesse with my presentation. Another thing is, if you can't see them in the water and they're out deep, then you're going to want to use a search bait. Now those search baits are obviously going to want to cover a lot of water. So I like to go with a crankbait here, or a square bill, or a lipless. You know, all those are kind of crankbaits. But jerk baits as well. I do like to use swim baits sometimes too, but those aren't noisy, so they're not as effective for a search bait. But now fishing from a bank can be tough, but an ideal spot is one I found here, because we got really shallow water right here, and then it gets deep out this way. On the other side here with the bait caster, you can also reach this structure here on that opposite shore. There's a lot of fallen trees. So once you find those ideal spots and you get those ideal baits, that's all there really is to it. You kind of have to experiment, especially with bank fishing, because you don't have all the gear like fish finders and boats obviously will get anywhere on the lake. Bank fishing is very limited with your spots, but once you find a spot that has access to deep and shallow water, you have a lot of options in front of you, and you're going to find fish in areas like that. When you're finding the fish, especially near the shore, you don't want to make too much noise or get too close to the water, because the fish can see you and even feel the vibrations in the water from your footsteps. So it's very important to be stealthy when you're finding these fish near the banks, especially, so that way they don't get spooked, because otherwise you're not going to catch them. One more tip I have for you is to cast close to you before casting far away. The reason is because if I cast right in front of me here, that's not going to get to the fish out there yet, so it's just going to get to the fish in front of me. So if I catch a fish right here, it won't spook any of the fish out there. So then if I catch a fish there, then I can cast a little bit further, catch another fish out there a little bit further down, and it won't spook any fish beyond. Now if I did the opposite, then I would cast over there first, bring the fish all the way in, and it would spook all the fish right in this area here, right in front of you. So that's why you want to cast closer to you before further away. So essentially when you're bank fishing in the fall, you want to look out for structure, just like any other fishing. You also want to find what depth the fish are at, okay? So sometimes in the fall, they'll be really shallow. So that's why you want to be stealthy when you're approaching the bank, because sometimes they'll be right there in front of you. And if they're deep, obviously you can find them out deep with search baits. Now when you're casting, obviously you want to cast close to the bank first and then work your way out. You can catch more fish that way. Bank fishermen, I know it's tough out there, but hopefully these tips help, and I'll see you guys on the next one.